The Last of Us Episode 4 returns focus to Joel and Ellie and gives us some solid development and bonding between the pair. We also get some brutal, intense action that pushes Ellie to new extremes. I really enjoyed this episode and I have some thoughts, so let's break them down. First, I want to talk about how much I'm enjoying watching Joel and Ellie's relationship flourish. I think the show is doing a really good job gradually making them get more comfortable with each other. If you look at their forced and uncomfortable small talk from episode 2 in the moment that Tess was away, and you look at their banter in this episode, it's clear that they've made some great progress, and like I said, it's really fun to watch. Ellie is far less reserved, and she doesn't seem to be suppressing any aspect of her personality. She's asking questions and making jokes and trying to make Joel crack a smile any chance that she gets. On the topic of Ellie making Joel laugh, I just want to point out how much I really loved that moment in the episode. Not only did I think it was a good ending to the episode, aside from the little cliffhanger with Henry and Sam, but I think it's pretty symbolic of Ellie breaking down Joel's barriers. They seem more and more like a father and daughter as this episode goes on and as this show goes on. There were moments in this episode when Joel was talking to Ellie that reminded me of when a parent would talk to their child about drugs or alcohol or boys, except Joel was talking about taking life. So it's a very different side of the same coin, but I think it's interesting to look at. To get into Joel a little bit, not only is he breaking down his barriers with Ellie and opening up more, but like I mentioned, he really is starting to act and take on more and more of a fatherly role. It's in his instincts. He's a protector, like that note from Bill mentioned. I mean, not only is Joel physically protecting Ellie, he really took an interest in her state of being in this episode. Aside from all the nice moments with Joel, there are times where he reveals himself to be a little bit of a gray character. He refers to Ellie as cargo, and he dives into his history a little bit, which involves some not so great things. I do think we're seeing Joel's brain compete with his heart. I think his heart wants to be a father and a protector to Ellie, but his brain can only see her as cargo because of the job at hand. I'd be willing to bet his heart slowly wins that battle. To touch on that action sequence, I thought that was really intense, really exciting. It seemed to be pretty true to the game, like Joel wasn't doing anything that you can't do in the game, so I appreciated that. But what I appreciated most is how that scene humanized the enemies. They really were just people trying to survive. I think that the humanity displayed in the enemies made things so much more difficult for Ellie. She had to deal with the trauma of firing at and hitting another human being for the first time, and she had to see and hear some pretty traumatic stuff after that as well. And you have to remember, she's just a kid. So I think Bella Ramsey and the writers did a really excellent job displaying the weight of moments like that. Before wrapping up, I want to briefly touch on Kathleen and her group. To be honest, I don't know fully what to make of that plot yet, but to me it seems like they're just trying to find a more fleshed out reason to have massive amounts of enemies come out after Joel and Ellie, and they're also trying to provide a little bit more backstory for Sam and Henry. It's definitely executed well enough, but I'll reserve my final judgment until that plot line is wrapped up. Alright guys, that sums up my thoughts on another really exciting episode of The Last of Us. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more.